Emergency agencies across Maine responded to that train derailment Saturday.
Katie Sharp spoke to a team in Orono that had a special role in the cleanup and joins us live in the studio now with more.
Katie?
Brittany and John, crews from around Maine responded to the call of the train derailment between Jackman and Rockwood last weekend. I spoke with one Penobscot County team called to assess possible chemical consequences. As fire departments worked to extinguish the flames that sparked from the incident, a team from the Orono Fire Department had a different task. The fire department has a hazardous materials mitigation or hazmat team. When events happen involving the potential spread of hazardous materials, this team is there.
So we respond to any hazardous material call, but we're also a type 1 hazmat team, so we are also able to respond to weapons of mass destruction. So if for some reason there was a WMD event, whether that's chemical weapons, radiological, our team is able to respond to those. But years past, we've responded like chemical release, whether it's in a lab or in transportation. So there's a leak that occurs because they were, either a car accident or a vehicle accident, but we respond to those as well.
Although the team is part of the Orono Fire Department, they cover a large part of the state, including Penobscot, Piscataquis, Aroostook, Hancock, Washington, and Somerset counties. Saturday's derailment was their first call to Somerset County.
Initially, we were in conversation with the incident commander, which was the Jackman Fire Chief, as well as DEP, and then they asked us to participate in a downrange mission, which we went down and did some area monitoring and also checked the containers for any leaks, and we had no abnormal readings on air monitors, and it did not appear that there was any hazardous materials leaking at that time.
In addition to emergency crews, multiple agencies including Maine Warden Service, Maine Forest Service, U.S. Border Patrol, and representatives from the Federal Railroad Administration and Canadian Pacific Railway were on the scene. Sirois adds that although there were several groups involved, all parties worked together to secure the area and ensure everyone's safety.
I think it was a large group effort that was able to keep things, safe for everyone. And that was obviously important because you had a lot of people there. So being able to have that crew resource management and utilizing everyone on scene definitely goes to say why the operation went successful.
No word on when they'll be finished with the cleanup, but we'll update this report as information becomes available. Back to you, Britt.